In this first episode, I will share valuable tools, insights, and activities to help you break through the creative barriers that have been holding you back. And with that, let's get into it. Being an artist isn't easy. It's challenging to come up with ideas. It's harder even to get them seen, and even more difficult to get paid to do what we do. But we love it. And for many of us, we want to make a life of it. But it's not always so simple. Even when you have a gig, sometimes it's hard to get it off the ground. And even once you do get it off the ground, procrastination can set in. And then even the views and opinions and judgment of others can cripple you before you even release something. So, in today's episode, I wanted to discuss a few of the major things that hold some of like myself back and hold some of my colleagues back and the people around me. And I've seen it many times. And also give you some tools to shake away that obstacle, to break free from it, and to allow you to create in the way that you need to. So, this is going to be kind of a 3-step program today. What I'd like to do is start at the foundations and then move us through a creative process. And along the way, I'm going to point out where some creators go wrong and what you can do to avoid those mistakes before they happen. So, the first thing I want to talk about is it's hard to think it's worth it. When we're kids going to school, art class is a very small part of the overall learning that we have. And even if we do take it as an elective and develop it further, it's still seen as a luxury, an extra curricular. It's not seen as part of the main program of learning or of society for the most part. And as content creation develops more and design becomes a huge part of our world, and Web 3.0 is just looming over us, design and art is becoming more and more a facet of our daily life. But in the past, in our upbringing, it wasn't always like that. Many artists are seen as narcissists, as frivolous, as unnecessary. But I would argue that the exploration of our emotions and our experiences and our senses is one of the most honorable and important things that we can do as humans. So, where do you find the value? If you're anything like me and the people that I grew up with, our parents, not mine, actually, my parents were really great about this, but many parents were hesitant to allow their children to pursue art instead of accounting or something that's more stable, that has financial return and reciprocation. And because of that, there was this psychological belief, I think, among many of us that we shouldn't become artists, and that if you do, you're challenging the status quo and you're going against the grain, and there's not as much help and resource and community and all these things. And it was a little bit of a fear tactic, it seemed like. And I think it stuck because even still today, even though I've been doing creative content and filmmaking and acting for, over 15 years now, I believe that there's still that inkling deep inside that says, what's it worth? Like, why does this matter? Who has it helped? And it took me a while to really understand that about myself and to find what it was that made what I do worth it. But it was one of the most important discoveries that I ever had as an artist, as a creator, and even as a human being. Because discovering why you're here, discovering what your purpose is, choosing to pursue a noble cause is by far one of the most motivating and sustaining forms of belief and energy that I've ever come across. So when I'm down in the dumps and I'm having a hard time and work's not coming and I'm creatively stifled, I'm still in this incredible, joyous state where I feel blessed to be creating, even though it's difficult, even though there's not always a ton of money in the bank account, even though some projects are very fruitful and exciting and other projects are terrible and disastrous. There are moments of beauty in all of it because what I've discovered through my production company and my personal mission is, now that I know how to do storytelling and I know how to be an actor and I know how to produce and edit film and all this stuff, my goal is to heal through the power of the stories that I live and tell. That's my mission through Hat Chat Productions. That's been a mission of mine personally for many years now. And it takes many forms. I think that healing comes in the form of teaching. It comes in the form of beautiful art. It comes in the form of enriched stories. It comes in the form of representation and all these different things that content development and curation and production allows us to investigate and explore. And the beautiful thing about media arts is that it is so encompassing. There's everything could be in it. Literally every part of the universe could be included in a film in some way or another. So the vastness and the scale of content production is enormous, and our abilities as creators to affect the subconscious mind, I think, is what truly drew me to content creation. The arts is one thing, yes, but only so many people come to a gallery, only so many people come to a play. But when you're actually presenting to millions of people across many countries simultaneously at their will through streamers and these things, you have a bigger reach. And if your message is strong and you have important things to say, you have the potential to affect the course of the world. I don't want to, you know, be the emperor or anything like that. I just want to curate moments that are good for people in whatever capacity I have. I just want to create more opportunities for us to heal, to grow, to progress, to reduce suffering, to excel our creative potential and our spiritual potential. And I've found through my own practice that doing that in the content creation sphere, in the media production sphere, has been one of the most fulfilling things that I could do. But it didn't start that way. I started as a hockey player when I was a teenager, and I thought I was going to be in the NHL, man. I really did. You know, lots of mini sticks in the hallways at tournaments, lots of chipped teeth. That one's for you, Ben. Ben's my brother. Love you, buddy. And I spent all this time thinking I was going to be, you know, this hockey guy. And when my draft years came, things didn't work out at all. I had a really rough time making the teams I wanted to make, and I pivoted. I ended up pivoting into music. And that's where it all started for me, was in music. I started playing guitar, and you know, right after I picked up the guitar, it was not long, a couple weeks, um, a guy named Jake Pasterfield, who has become my best friend in the entire world. He's out in Kelowna, BC right now, and he's a sacred sound healer. He's gone through an incredible journey and does amazing things now. But Jake approached me at high school and he was like, "Hey, man, you want to start a band?" We were in drama class together, and I think we just vibed a little bit. So he got a drum set for his birthday, and we started playing music together, and it evolved from there. You know, we ended up living together a few years later with our bassist and making a lot of music. And then that led me to go out to Vancouver to pursue production, music and sound production for film and television and albums and things like that, even video games. And so that's where I started to get involved in media and in any type of production, really. And as I learned more and I developed these skills, I started to get more opportunities in different arenas. And I started to learn how to tell stories. And this memory came to me not long ago, where I was I was about 9 years old, and my parents had just gotten me this television set, and I shouldn't have been watching it. It was late at night, and there was a Nova special on for some type of celestial, like universe, space, cosmos type program. And I was 9, keep in mind. And this program went on to talk about how stars are born and die, and planets are consumed by these burning stars, and how our sun was one of these stars and it would eventually consume the earth. And my 9-year-old brain was just completely dumbfounded by this idea, and my mortality became very apparent at a very young age. And so I think I had a little bit of an existential realization very young, but that moment was so clearly a time when content affected my subconscious mind in a deep way. Still does to this day. It's a vivid memory of mine. I remember everything. You would say it's a trauma, perhaps, but it is what it is. Anyways, I say that only because learning how to create stories and cultivate content led me to understand how powerful what I was learning to do was. And after college, the Art Institute of Vancouver, I ended up walking dogs. And I was in a band. I was in a really great progressive rock band called Transient. Shout out to the Transient boys. And we were playing some really cool shows around, Vancouver and all over kind of Western Canada, and then recording and doing all these things. And then the band disbanded, and I was walking dogs and kind of creatively left with nothing to do, a little bit stifled. And then I pivoted and I started selling life insurance because I needed to make money. And I became a junior supervising agent at an insurance company in Burnaby, BC. And then I was like, who am I? What am I doing? Where did it go? Where is it? The dream, you know? And so I started to think about where I was in life. I was 25 at this time, living in a really nice place, 5 minutes from the ocean in South Surrey, right near White Rock in BC. And it was a gorgeous acre and a bit that we had there. And I was just not happy. And I really had to, dig deep to decide to leave BC and come back home. And that process was difficult, but it ignited this new potential, this new journey inside of me. And it was a moment that I was really clear about what I wanted, and I didn't settle. So I would say one thing: if you're struggling with where you're at in life, if you're struggling with making the decision to take the leap, there's never going to be a better time to do it than right now. You're going to struggle. You're going to go through a lot of difficulty and strain if you don't have guidance. So things like this, other workshops are very important. But in the end, you're going to be able to wake up on a regular basis daily and say, I'm doing this the way that I want to. And that is one of the most important things for any artist, is to wake up and feel justified in being who they are, so that they're not blocked by other people's, comparisons or judgment, or they're not blocked by their, in my case, many of my friends' cases, their upbringing's belief that artists aren't valued. So learning that and choosing to come home was a big decision. After I got here, I went to school for acting and directing and producing, mostly for theater. And that led me even further down the path. I was like, hey, I could do this. I can see how these things tie together. And then eventually I graduated, and I did well, and I got lots of parts while I was in school, and I learned a lot. And that gave me the reputation once I left to be cast in a play that went to Dublin. And that play that I ended up composing music for and acting in did very well in Dublin. And it was a great experience for me as an actor. And when I came back, I jumped right into the film and television industry with my apprentice actor card. And since then, I've worked with a couple agencies. Now I'm with RJ Talent and Shauna Church. And it's been a lovely relationship that I continue to foster. Shout out, Shauna. Hi there. Anyways, I say all of this because the journey has been long. I have not always been doing this. I chose at the age of 25, I'm now 35, it's 10 years later now, that I wanted to be in this industry. I wanted to affect the way that our world was moving because I believe in goodness and I believe in positivity and I believe in the power of creativity and in win-wins. And I think that there's a possibility and a potential for us to build this into our content, for us to not just watch it to escape, but to escape and grow all at the same time. And that's the type of stuff that I'm interested in. My why, my mission is to heal through the power of the stories we live and tell. That comes from my understanding of how content affects the subconscious mind and how not just the content itself, but the creation of it, who you do it with, why you do it, when you do it, where you do it, how exactly you do it. It all matters. And it can all say something, and it can all be used to heal and to grow and to progress our world into better arenas. Choosing a strong why. How are you going to do it? I recommend looking back on your life to when you were young and think about the things that you did between the time you were 5 or 6, and let's say 15 or 16, before other people's judgment started to set in on who and what you were doing. And think about what you really loved to do. Did you like to dig holes? Did you like to act? Did you like to record or draw? What did you like to do? From there, think about if you cultivated any of that. Did you still continue doing that? Did you learn it at a post-secondary school? Did anything come from it? If not, why not start today? There's so much learning online, on YouTube, on all kinds of different platforms all over the internet, on local channels, everywhere you can think of. There's people like me trying to help others find their way. And it's every single thing you can think of, from sewing to drawing to filmmaking to photography and more. So go back to when you were a child, think about something that you loved to do, and just try doing it again. See if you do love it still. For me, it was performing in the kitchen archway for my parents. I would put on plays or reenact different movie scenes or quote movies with my brother Ben. Shout out again, Ben. And we would just get into these characters and become them for a while, even days at a time. It was obviously affecting our behavior. The content had a deep impact on our psychology and continues to this day. So look back on your life. Think about something that you did when you were young. And if you haven't been doing it for a while, go and try and do it again. If it's something that you feel like you would like to do, there are so many opportunities and ways in which you could do it that there's no reason you couldn't if you put your mind to it. So I give you that blessing. Please go and find something that you love to do. The next thing that you're going to need to do after you find something that you just love doing is you're going to have to find a good reason to do it, right? We don't just wake up and make movies because we like making movies. To a degree, we do. We love making movies, but we wake up and make movies because of something. Because for me, I want to help heal the world through the power of the stories that we live and tell. For others, it might be that they want to bring a voice to a certain population or demographic. For some other people, it might be that they want to provide information so that people can make their own decisions. And that's not colored by any particular bias. So everyone has a different way, and everyone has a different belief that can drive them forward. It's important that you discover a noble cause, something that is serving to another community or a community outside of yourself, and that you like to do. The reason you need those external factors to be there is because if you're just doing it for yourself, you will run out of steam. There's not enough energy inside of you to maintain a consistent creative energy. You'll need community. You'll need to bounce the ideas off of someone. You'll need to get insight and data on if your stuff's good, if you like it or not, if how it's affecting people, if it's giving them the right response that you're intending. So community is very important. Doing something just for yourself isn't going to sustain you. Attaching it to serving a community is going to sustain you more. And then attaching that to a noble cause, something that's even larger than the community, something that, for myself, I want to heal through the power of the stories that we live and tell. I think our world is very negatively programmed through a lot of the media that we've seen, through a lot of the social conditioning that we've been through over the last 200 years. And so I want to create content that helps to heal that trauma and that difficulty that we've been dealing with. For others, it's different. It's important that you find something noble to you. Perhaps it's faith-based. Perhaps it's environmentally based. Perhaps it's psychologically based for mental health. Perhaps it's based on diversity or inclusion. There's so many ways to create value in yourself that allows you to maintain the energy so that you don't have to find it elsewhere. Your community will start to give back. Their insights and their comments will start to guide you towards the stuff that is helping. Another problem that a lot of artists deal with is procrastination. And this comes in a lot of forms and for many different reasons. It's obviously in its grandest form because you're trying to avoid doing the work. But why are you trying to avoid doing the work? Is it painful? Is it causing you stress? Is it because you don't know the next step? Investigating what your procrastination is stemming from will help you to address the issue a lot better. So if you're procrastinating, what can you do? You've got your why and you're steadfast on creating content that helps to bring a voice to people of color, but you're stuck. So what do? You're editing, let's say you're editing a video or something, and you don't know where to go next. First thing you should do is step away. You've probably been working at it for too long, and the brain only works for about an hour, 15 minutes at a time. So take a little walk, go outside, do a little exercise, and just let your mind wander for a little while. Do something different. Like, yeah, you could go outside for a walk. Sometimes I like to have a shower. Sometimes I like to watch something that helps me learn or learn a new skill. And then that learning, the intaking of information starts to quell that outputting of information that you're trying to do by editing, and you become responsive to ideas rather than forceful of ideas. So I would recommend going and learning something within the realm of the skill or the arena that you're trying to work on. Like sometimes when I'm having a difficult time editing, I'll go and look at other examples for reference. I'll go and look at other how-to videos for specific parts of different types of formats, whether it's television or documentaries or sports or whatever it is. So checking up some reference examples and creating an intake mentality rather than an output mentality can sometimes help quite a lot. Another thing that helps a lot is to review your work with another person in mind, or in the room, sorry. So if you have a piece or a part of a piece half done or portions of it, play it for someone. What happens when we have someone else there is it activates a different part of our brain, a social response section in our brain. I don't know the name of it because I'm not a scientist, but we start to analyze our content in a different way. And because of that, we see new things and we respond based on the interaction of the two parties involved. So that can sometimes break you out of the procrastination mode. Share your work with someone who you trust. Procrastination is a tricky one because sometimes it's way, way deeper. Sometimes it has to do with our own mentality or other conditions in our lives that are preventing us from focusing on the task at hand. Sometimes, if that's happening, it's best to step away and to resolve the issue. Go and talk to the person that you need to talk to. Go and write the invoice and send that off so that it's out of your mind and out of your way. Respond to the email that you've been neglecting for weeks. Pay that bill, whatever it is. Sometimes the thing that's making us procrastinate is completely outside of the realm of the art that we're doing. So take a little time, walk away, think about what's really ailing you, and then make a plan to address it, whether it's directly in the art, you can do some reference work, you could look at some other how-tos, whether it's outside in your personal life, you need to address a relationship, a condition, a bill, whatever it is. I would recommend being conscientious of exactly what it is that's causing your procrastination. Sometimes we just get lost in it, and it helps a lot to choose to do something, just anything. Most of the time, something that's not involving the thing we have to do, right? So hopefully that helps you there. Finally, the thing I wanted to talk about is other people, external forces. Things that sometimes hold us back, like I mentioned earlier, are the judgment of others or us comparing ourselves to other people. It's really important that you understand that your journey is completely different than everyone else's journey. And in that is where the value you have to offer lies. By trying to live someone else's life, you do not have value. You are succumbing and subscribing to the value they have and trying to take it from them rather than creating your own value and harmonizing with their own beliefs, right? That's a more sustained and constructive way of thinking. So don't worry about what other people are doing. I know it's hard. I even deal with this all the time. I'm always considering this as an entrepreneur and a competitor in an industry. You're always thinking about other people, but it's important to have this other part of your brain telling you and coaching you to believe that you don't need to worry about that. Your journey, living it to the truest version of itself, is going to be the most powerful way that you have and that you will ever have to be able to communicate powerful messages. So don't compare yourself. If you're procrastinating, there are solutions. Check some resources, look up reference, look up how-to videos. You could go for a walk, change your mindset, deal with a problem that's actually ailing you, and find your why. I go back to it and I kind of reverse engineer that, because finding your why is going to guide you to all of the other places along the way. If you have a strong why that's good, that's noble, that's not just for you, that is serving to a community, you're going to have the insight and awareness and focus to be able to deal with all of the other pieces. And finally, the last thing that your why will do for you is something that many, many thinkers and coaches talk about, but it'll activate your reticular activating system. If you don't know what this is, it's another part of your brain. I don't know where it is. Again, I'm not a scientist, but it's a part of our brain that allows us to see that red car that we just bought all over the place now because it's in our mind. That's our reticular activating system. It's a genetic part of our brain that's been passed down for a long time. That's the same thing that happens when you focus on your why, when you make your goals very clear, and when you cut out the noise of other people. You're going to become very aware of exactly what it is, all the things in your life that relate to your particular goals and your journey. So choose your why wisely. Cut out the procrastination with some of those techniques, and just forget about comparing yourself and forget about the judgment. Other opinions, creative construction, that's good. But the judgment, the comparisons are not going to help you. They're just going to hold you back from being yourself. We hope that this will give you a sense of inspiration, some tools so that you can deal with your procrastination, and roadmaps so that you can maybe find your why and really make a go of your career as an entertainment professional. Or any other artist, I guess. I just focus on entertainment professionals because that's who I am. But this applies really to anyone doing anything that they're passionate about and that they want to really pursue. I believe in you. If you need any help with any of this type of stuff, shoot me a message in the comments or on socials. I would love to help and to guide. That's why I'm doing this. And I would love it if you could like and subscribe our channel. We're going to be putting out a lot more content like this over the weeks, years, and decades to come. And I hope to be a source of positivity and guidance on the path forward. That's it for now. Good day, chat.